And then I came back to Malaysia. By the way, when I went there, I was 120 pounds. After 1 year, I was 96 pounds. Because we were eating one meal, and vegetarian meal. And that vegetarian meal also, because they don't go for alms round, they go to the supermarket. Those old vegetables that the supermarket doesn't want, they bring back. Old cheese, old butter, all this expired one. We eat all that. So, at the end of 1985, I came back to Malaysia. Then I had a lot of doubts about Mahayana. I thought, now how can my teacher, after becoming a monk for 30 over years, is this type of person? So I had doubts about Mahayana teaching. I wanted to go to Thailand, but I didn't know where to go. The only monks I knew were Mahayana monks. So I was not willing to go back to lay life. Some people in my position would have lost faith in Buddhism, gone back to lay life. But I wanted to continue as a monk. So I went to this Mahayana monk in Penang, whom I knew, in Hong Fu Si, and I went to see him. At that time, Kelok Si Temple, they were having the higher ordination, end of 1985. So this Mahayana monk, he likes me, so he asked me to stay with him and ordain. So I stayed with him, and then I took the higher ordination, Mahayana ordination in Kelok Si Temple, 1985. After staying a few months, I saw that the practice of a Mahayana temple is not like the Buddha's time, very different from the Buddha's time. Buddha's time, monks will go into the forest, meditate alone, beg for their food and all this, which Mahayana monks don't do. Mahayana monks, the practice is eating vegetarian food, chanting, doing work in the monastery. So, very different. So, I wanted to go to Thailand. Then, after a few months, I think around March 1986, I went to Thailand. Thailand, at first I went to a famous monk. At that time, Ajahn Yantra. He was so famous, a few hundred monks will come to his monastery, stay for a few days. After that, they go off. After a while, another batch of a few hundred monks will come. So, I was not happy. I wanted to go off. Then he knew he also liked me. He knew I wanted to practice. He asked me, you want to stay alone? I said, yes. Actually, there's a new kuti at the edge of the monastery, at the forest there. So you can go and stay there. I went to stay there. That night, a tiger came. It was only a wooden kuti, wooden kuti, and the tiger walked around growling. Because it was near his place of residence. I was thinking, wow, if we push the door will fall down. And then after that, he left. So, after that, I went to look for a Teochew monk who stayed in Malaysia, Ipoh, 25 years in a cave monastery. I knew him before, so I went to look for him. And I stayed in his cave monastery. His cave monastery was quite special. It's a hill. You have to walk halfway up the hill, about 100 feet. And there's an opening. And then you walk down to the middle, at the bottom of the hill. There's a dark cave. The only light comes from the top. There's an opening. Only from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. There's some light coming in. But I was told to be careful because it's a limestone cave. There's a lot of holes, There's a lot of holes. And because there's a lot of holes, there's a lot of pythons. So they told me they have seen pythons as big as your thigh. So I stayed there. And those Teochew monks, they take breakfast and they take lunch. But at that time, I had already been practicing 1 meal a day for 3 years. So I wanted to continue 1 meal a day. And then I was taking vegetarian food. But every day at 4 p.m., these Teochew monks will drink tea. And that tea It's in small cups and very thick, very thick. So when I joined them, I got gastric problem. Developed gastric problem. For years, up to now, only thing I have to control. If I take fruit juice, if I take chili, it'll come up again. Then one night, I was sleeping in the dark cave. There was a passageway. Passageway is not very big. So I was sleeping on the bed, wooden bed, something like this. And the walking space only about 2-3 feet, like that. About 3 a.m., a python came back, And then you hear the sound of the python, you know it's a huge fellow. Why? Because it's dragged his body and stopped. Maybe I just eaten a goat or a dog. Drag the body and stop. Normally a snake will just go silently like that. This one was so heavy that it has to drag his body and stop. Drag the body and stop. I pretend I didn't see. These big snakes, you cannot use a torchlight. You use your torchlight, they come up. They're not afraid of you. So just kept quiet. Just went by the side. Went into some deep hole. So that's quite an interesting cave. So I stayed there for a few months. Then I went to Wat Pananachat. That's the place, Ajahn Chah's branch monastery, where most of the monks are Western monks. At that time, Ajahn Pasano was the abbot. So I spent the Vasa there. After spending the Vasa there, at the end, after the Vasa, I went back to the cave monastery. Then the old Teochew monk there, he organized for me to go Tudong. Tudong is Long Pa, wandering, just walking anywhere and beg for your food and sleep in the forest or sleep in the cemetery. So from there, from Ratburi, we walked down to the border, Padang Besar, the Malaysian border. So, then there was 1986, and because I want to say something about Wat Pananachat. When I went to Wat Pananachat and stayed with them, I found the lifestyle is in a forest monastery in Thailand. It's very different from Mahayana temples. Every morning, about 5:30 or 6 a.m., it's already bright. We go on alms round. We walk 2 or 3 kilometers, beg for our food. And Thai people there, they are very respectful. If the monastery nearby keeps the Vinaya, keeps the precepts, then they are very respectful. Sometimes you are walking, the villager is going on his bicycle. If he comes from the opposite direction, he will get down from the bicycle. He will hold the bicycle, put down his head, wait for you to walk by. After you walk past, then only he goes up on his bicycle and goes again. If it's a woman, he will put the bicycle on the ground, squat on the floor, Anjali, put the hands together, wait for you to walk by. Then only she'll go on the bicycle again. If they come from behind you, they dare not overtake you. They go very slowly. So they are very respectful because the monks keep the Vinaya. So there, after Pindapata, we come back, then do a bit of sweeping the footpaths. Then 8 o'clock we eat 1 meal only. But it's a solid meal because whatever we get, we eat. So it's not vegetarian food. So at least 1 good solid meal. And then a lot of the time, the daytime is left to the monk to do whatever you want. So our time is spent reciting, like what you did, the chanting. A lot of the Pali chants have to recite and memorize. And you can study, they have a very good library. You can study the discourses of the Buddha and all that, and other Buddhist books. And then evening we come together for some work. Like some trees, big trees fall down, we saw the tree, keep the wood to use as firewood. Because they want the firewood because they boil the water to wash their robes every 2 weeks, dye their robes. So it's a different lifestyle altogether from Mahayana monasteries. But you feel happy because it's something close to what the Buddha's time they were practicing. So then in Thailand, when I wanted to go Tudong, this wandering, then you learn you have to give up vegetarianism. I was a vegetarian for about 10 years because I was in Mahayana Buddhism for 9 years, 6 years as a layman and 3 years as a novice monk plus a monk. So when I went Tudong, becoming a wandering monk, I find I have to give up vegetarian because you know why? Some of the people are so poor. You go and bake the whole morning. You only get white rice and one hard-boiled egg. Where you can choose, you cannot choose. Sometimes you get white rice and one small fried fish. That's all. But you live that type of life because your intention is very pure. Your precept is pure. You seldom fall sick one. You eat little also, you don't feel weak because you are inspired. Then, because of visa problem, after 1 year I came back to Malaysia, early 1987. So I thought I want to continue to practice like a monk during the Buddha's time. So I went to Ipoh to look for a cave to stay. But all the good caves are taken up by fortune teller, taken up by other people. So the devotees found for me a dark cave, very dark cave, quite a huge cave, quite a big cave, bigger than this. It seems during the Second World War, 200 young women went to hide there. They're afraid of being raped by the Japanese soldiers. So there's bats living up there. So at first, I saw the cave was so dark, then I go in to stay because caves, as I know, got python and all that. So to enter this cave, you have to crouch low because the entrance is quite low. And then you go inside. But the other end is a opening, brighter. So I went to the other end to sleep on a ledge, on a rock ledge. But then I found it's not so good because in the afternoon it gets hot. And then when you sleep out there, you meditate, you can hear the sound of traffic. It's a bit hot. The advantage of a cave, staying in a cave, firstly, it cuts off the outside noise. It's very quiet. The other thing is, inside the cave is cool. Day and night is cool. So, I stayed 2 nights there. And the second night, I had a strange dream. I dreamt that this cave where I was staying is at the bottom of a hill. And this hill, there are 4 devas. They came to see me. They saw me sleeping there. They came to see me. So, the leader was seated on a chair. The others were standing around him. When I look at them, they look quite awesome, like an Indian deva like that. And because they were staring at me, then I look at myself. I also look like a deva with the Indian deva dress, And then I woke up. And then I realized they wanted to tell me that they accept me as a member. So if I stay in the dark cave, no harm will come to me. So I went inside the dark cave and stayed. And then in the morning I go on alms round, I go to that village. Perak state, that state I was staying. They are not used to wandering monks. It's not like Penang or Kedah or Kelantan. They're used to Thai monks coming and begging for food. There, they never seen a monk begging for food. So when I went to the marketplace, beg for food, they all stared at me like a monkey. And nobody knows how to give me food. So I thought, if I keep walking, nobody's going to give me food. So I have to make my skin thick. I have to stand in front of a stall. I thought I won't go away until she gave me. That lady also don't know how to give me. Then the customer told her, hey, oiti kokoi, peiti kokoi. Then she gave me some kueh. I went to the second stall saw the first stall do, she also gave me the kueh. Third stall also gave me the kueh. Then the first lady came running, wanted to give me 2 ringgit. I said, we don't accept money. She was surprised, how come monk don't accept money? Then I walk slowly, past the meat stall, they don't give me. Past the rice stall, they don't give me, because they think monks are vegetarians. So that day I went back to the cave, I ate kueh. Second day I came, also had to eat kueh. Third day I also eat kueh. Fourth day I say, 10 days I had to eat kueh, Then they heard there's a monk staying there. So they thought I was a Thai monk. So they came to visit me. So I explained to them, I said, we Theravada monks who beg for their food, we are not vegetarian. Next day I got nasi lemak. So you see, the Buddha is so wise. The Buddha said, a monk cannot choose your food. If you choose your food, cannot survive. Then after 4 months in that cave, I went to Penang because there was a monk who heard that I was in that cave. And then he asked me to go to Penang. He said, go and to that meditation center in Penang. So I went there. I saw them practicing Vipassana meditation. But I had been practicing Anapanasati because of Hinduism. They call pranayama, which is basically the same thing. So when they learned that I don't want to practice Vipassana, I was only practicing Anapanasati, they kicked me out of the meditation center. Narrow-minded. I guess even if the Buddha came also, they kick him out. Because not practicing Vipassana. So after that, I wanted to go to another Theravada monastery. He also practicing Vipassana. That monk also refused to allow me to stay. So I made some inquiries. I heard there's a cave on Penang Hill, 400 feet up. Consists of two rocks. Two rocks, one resting on the other. So it was started by another monk. So I asked permission. I stayed there. So that's quite interesting. The first night, I went to the corner of the cave, which was quite dark, to light an oil lamp. When I lighted the oil lamp, a being, light flew out. The being probably has been staying there for some time. Nobody staying there. So when I came to stay, it flew out. Then at night when I was sleeping, the first night, I was just about to fall asleep. Body already weak already. Mind also about to doze off already. Somebody came and pulled my ear. Then I woke up. Then I told the being, I said, don't disturb me, please. I didn't come to take your place. You can stay, but you allow me to stay also. Don't disturb me. Whatever merit I transfer to you. Then I fell asleep, it didn't disturb me. Next day, when I was about to fall asleep, come and pull my ear, nose. Again, I told him, please don't disturb me now. Don't wake up. But I was not afraid. I see if your karma is good, you got nothing, you have nothing to be ashamed of, no fault. You're not afraid. Again, the next day, same thing happened. Next night, same thing happened. After 4 or 5 nights, my temper ki lai liao. And came to disturb me, I gave him one punch. After that, never disturbed me anymore. I think I'm one of these elves. Lord of the Rings elf. So he must be staying there, alone for a long time. Suddenly, somebody come, he's not happy. So that was the cave. That cave, I stayed 3 months. Then after that, the monk wanted it back. Then I went to Balai Pulau, the other side of Penang, up on the hill. At first, I stayed in one place because I didn't know any other place. Very high. So high, I walked down to the town for Pindapata and walked back 3 hours. And 3 hours on an empty stomach, it's very tiring, You wake up, nothing to eat, and then you walk 3 hours like that. Very tiring. So after 2 weeks, the people saw me, they recommended me another place, not so high. You walk only half an hour up the hill. So I stayed there for 1 year. Then 1989, I decided to go to Thailand again. So I went to Thailand. Also, part of the time, I stayed 4 months in Wat Pa Nanachat and some other months in that cave with the Teochew monks. When I was in Wat Pa Nanachat, I had 2 interesting experiences. One was I followed Ajahn Pasano to the Burmese border. Very near the Burmese border, it's very wild, a lot of forest. When we went there, the people there were very happy. They said, no monk has come here for 8 years because it's so ulu and the place is, the people are so poor, So you don't expect to get good food. First, when we first arrived there, they asked us to go to the cemetery to do some chanting. So we went there, did some chanting. Then we asked them, who is this? This just died. I said, this 24 years old young man. I asked him, died of what? Malaria. That one, 30 years old young man, died of malaria. Malaria very serious there. So what do? I drink urine. You drink urine is an antidote for a lot of sickness. It's taught by the Buddha. So there are some monks who didn't drink urine, they got it, they got malaria. Then after that they could not stay anymore, to bring them out. So then when I stayed there, we had to disperse. After we arrived there, we should go in different directions, go far away so that you can't hear the other friend, you can't call for the other friend. We wanted to experience staying alone. At night, I can hear the sound of tiger and all that. Next morning when I woke up, I saw there's a deep hole near where I was sleeping because we arrived in the evening. Quickly had to find a place to sleep. Then I looked closely, it's a grave. The grave sunk in. Then some other monk, because every morning we come together, we meet in a certain place and we go for alms round, beg for our food. So at first, one monk said he put his plastic sheet and put up his mosquito net. When he slept at night, all the ants came to bite him. He didn't know he was sleeping over an ant hole. So, and then sometimes when you're sleeping, if you don't put your mosquito net under the plastic sheet, sometimes a snake will come in. So you have to be very careful. So we meet and then we went on alms round. The people saw us very happy, Many of them came out to give us food. By the 3rd day, some of them dare not come out already because they're so poor. They got nothing to give you. And some they come out, they just give you white rice only. And some they are so poor, they just give us water. But they give us water also, we are thankful. You know why? Because it's boiled water. Normally, they keep the water in the urn, clay urn, keep for months, And then when they scoop the water for you, you take back the water in your water bottle and you pour out, you want to drink, mosquito larva. So you cannot drink. So if they boil for us the water, we are very happy, no mosquito larva. So So we stayed there, I think 1 or 2 months. It's quite a good experience. The other interesting thing is, during that time, sometimes it's going to rain. We know it's going to rain because the wind start blowing. The sky start becoming dark. What do? Our ropes, we are afraid will get wet. We put in a plastic bag, tie it up so you won't get wet. Then we have to hold an umbrella. So if it rains for 2 hours, we have to hold the umbrella for 2 hours. But standing, holding is very tiring. So what we do, we find a log, big tree fallen. We squat on the log, holding the umbrella like a bird. Like a bird on the branch. 1 or 2 hours, never mind. Too long after you fall asleep. So there was another interesting thing in 1989. I went with another monk to a province called Mukdahan, near Laos border. Northeast Thailand, the people are very poor. Because in 1 year, about 4 months or so, not a drop of rain. So they quite difficult to find a livelihood. During that time, they will go in a van, go to the forest, look for food, look for bamboo shoots and all that and share. So we went to live on the hill that they built a few kutis for wandering monks to stay. So when we go on alms round, we come back, the people follow us because they are so poor, they want to take back the leftover food, So they open the plastic containing the food that is offered, and then they pour it out into a bowl, then offer to us. You know what we get? After you see the bowl with toad floating there, frog, the rough skin type of frog, the toad floating like that. And sometimes I don't know whether it's a rat or a snake, one big eye there in the soup, with some broken flesh. And then a beetle, fried beetle, fried beetle. Fried beetle not too bad, tastes like kacang. But the frog, so long I dare not eat. Then I thought to myself one day, I come so far, this is a once in a lifetime experience. If I don't eat that frog, I regret it. So I closed my eyes and swallowed one frog. At that time, I really wanted to be a vegetarian. But you want to eat fruits also, no fruits. Very small banana and not enough also. So sometimes they say, monks eat meat because they are greedy. You eat this type of meat, you see whether you are greedy or not. I stayed there 3 weeks. After that, I went back to the Teochew monks. They say I was so thin, they could hardly recognize me. Because eating one meal a day is suffering. Every day when it comes to lunchtime, it's a torture to eat. So at the end of 1989, also because of visa problem, I came back to Malaysia. And then I heard that the cave on Penang Hill, somebody broke into that cave and burned the ropes, burned the chair. Then after that, that monk didn't want it anymore. He was afraid I become these drug addicts will go and stay there. So he said any monk can go and stay. Then I went, so I quickly went to stay there. That place is 400 feet below the Itam market. So every day I walk down for alms round, get my food and walk up. Walking up and down every day 400 feet, I was very fit, and knocked my backside all muscle. So used to walking 400 feet, no sweat. I had to walk very fast to get a bit of sweat. So I stayed there from end of 1989 until 1997. But in 1996, I went to Perth. I stayed in Ajahn Brahm's monastery for 4 months. I went to Perth because I have 3 sisters in Perth. One of them is already a nun in the Perth nunnery. The oldest nun is my sister. So after that, I started this present monastery in Temong. It's called Vihara Buddha Gautama. If you look up the website, you type Vihara Buddha Gautama, you will find. So that our monastery started as a 15-acre monastery. Initially, there were no fence. So every day you see wild boar. It's near a forest reserve. Every day wild boar would come in. And then I heard the sound of the tiger 3 times. And then 2009, a black panther came into the monastery. The novice monk was going down to meditate at 4:30, shining the torch. Beside the road was this black panther crouch. When he shone into his eyes, the black panther ran away. The novice monk also ran away. And then not so long ago, 2015, a wild goat came into our monastery. And the dogs bit it there, went to save it. And then 2 of us carried the wild goat. It was so heavy. 2 of us also had difficulty carrying it. And but it died of shock, too frightened. So our monastery stresses on 2 things. One is sutta study, and of course keeping the precepts. And the other one is meditation. So we have quite a relaxed schedule. But because to me, the true Dhamma is very, very important. Nowadays, our Dhamma is very rojak. A lot of mixed Dhamma due to later books. So the Buddha said that his teachings in the Digha Nikaya, the Buddha said his teachings, his original teachings are perfect and complete. If you think you want to add to his words, you don't understand his Dhamma. If you want to subtract from his words also, you don't understand his Dhamma. So the later books written by later monks, they don't have right view. That's why they see a lot of things are different from what the Buddha taught. So from 1997 until 2015, I've been giving talks on the suttas. I've completed the 5 Nikayas in English, and for the Hokkien one, I spoke on 4 Nikayas. I brought the SD card if any of you interested to listen to these talks, which are most important. The Buddha calls his disciples monks and nuns and laymen and laywomen, savaka, senwen. You listen to his words, you are a Buddhist. If you don't listen to the Buddha's original teachings, you are not a Buddhist. There are some people, even monks, during the Buddha's time, like Devadatta, they only want to meditate. Devadatta is one of those monks who quite arrogant. He only wants psychic powers, so he's not interested in the Dhamma. So he meditated until he got psychic powers. But after he got psychic powers, his ego became so big. He wanted to take over the Buddha's place. And the Buddha scolded him. He got so angry, he wanted to kill the Buddha. So that's the danger of meditation. If you don't have right view, don't meditate too much. You must get right view first. And that is only by listening to the suttas.